whenever I see the word sloppy, it's always like, well, is sloppy a lack of focus, a lack of effort? So Ben Johnson said, he was saying Sunday after Caleb Williams' performance, he said, we're sloppier than I'd want to be at this point. We had a couple good practices. We had a step back. We're not where we want to be at this point. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. But did you hear what he said about Caleb Williams' backup, Tyson Padgett?
Man, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's smart as a whip. Appreciate the seriousness and intent that he brings every time he walks into a room. Meeting room, walk through, it doesn't matter. He's locked in. He's focused. He's preparing the right way, and I couldn't be more thrilled that he's here with us.
Tyson Bagent. Okay, so now just think about that. Coaches with young quarterbacks tend to be very careful with their words, very intentional. He's serious. He's focused. He's locked in. Smart as a whip. The other guy is sloppy. I'm sorry. If a director of a film says right now our lead actor, you've got to be patient. But, boy, I'll tell you, the supporting cast, whoo, they are locked in and focused. That's insinuating the lead isn't locked in. I don't know. It's something. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to connect these dots, right?
Yeah. Listen, I've defended Caleb Williams every step of the way. Every step of the way. Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson, all of that. I think I've been very balanced. But I will say this. Hearing that is definitely something. That is definitely uncomfortable if you're Caleb Williams. As someone who's been in and out of starting lineups and played for a coach who was always giving speeches about individual players, he was always singling out players. If he was ever singling out a player like in a positive about someone who I'm competing with, like you're just like, oh, that's something. You kind of start to know where you stand and the work that needs to be done, either to keep your spot or to that you kind of have a tough road ahead of you to get that spot. And I hear that and I'm like, ah, and that was real. Like what Ben Johnson was saying. Like, he was firm, he was confident, he wasn't tiptoeing around anything. And unless Ben Johnson really dropped the ball in speaking to the media and was just trying to be positive, and like this would be like, and it how do I want to put it? Unless this was truly just a big mistake in terms of like a misstep of how Ben Johnson spoke and addressed the media, it would be like similar to the whole Dan Campbell biting kneecaps or whatever, and Nick Sirianni talking about like plants, I think it was, or something about like planting seeds and having the flowers grow. I don't know. But essentially the two things that Colin like ripped them for. Like that's what it would then be. If it was actually like he was just trying to say something, they asked him a question about him, and so he just said something positive. He was just trying to be encouraging, and it was like, which I get, but like it's a little bit different when you're in a specific situation with your quarterback right now. You have to be careful. You have to be very careful with all of that. So yeah, I don't know. What that does signal to me more than anything is that if this Chicago Bears team struggles, and if Caleb Williams legitimately struggles, we talked about this before, in terms of like how much a coach changes and adapts his philosophy and whatnot to fit the quarterback, and like a coach is always going to fit a team, or and a game plan and a philosophy around their quarterback within reason. And a coach is always going to say, we're doing this around our quarterback, right? Like a coach is never going to say, this is my system, this is how I coach. and it's up to, Russ, Caleb, Mahomes, Jalen, whatever, to fit me. Like, that's not what any coach will ever say. But we know it's on this spectrum here. And it does feel like that if this team struggles, if Caleb struggles, Ben Johnson will be the one definitely being like, Caleb's not the guy. I don't know what else you want me to do here. We got to get the right quarterback in here. We got, you saw what I did in Detroit. You know what I can do. Look at everyone else. I'm going to show you on the film where Caleb is making the mistakes. See this play, see that play, see this play, see that guy, see this guy. If he just does this, if he just does that, that's a 35-yard pickup and a touchdown. This, instead of this sack, and he's just like, look, give me the quarterback. My plays are working beautifully. My play calling is perfect in this moment. Look at this. Caleb is not the guy. He cannot run the offense that I need. I don't know what you want me to do. You want me to change the offense so we have less of these plays that are clearly going to work? It's not the way this works, man. Get me the quarterback. Can't win with him. And listen, the Chicago Bears essentially experienced that with Justin Fields in a lot of ways. It was like, can't win. To a different degree, different coaching, different approach, obviously, but like, they know what it's like to draft a quarterback and move on. And again, I'm not saying that they're going to move on from Caleb. I'm not saying that Caleb isn't going to be great. I'm not saying that Caleb isn't going to grow and mature. And I think it's, the question keeps saying too early to worry about Caleb Williams. Yes, I am a firm believer in that being yes. Absolutely. Undeniably. But what Ben Johnson is signaling to me is that, like, he is not, he will not sync with Caleb Williams. He is not someone who's like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you reach your maximum potential. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you are the most elite quarterback you can be. That's not the read that I get on it. That's just what my gut tells me. It's very much kind of like, you're either my guy or you're not. Of course, I'm going to coach you. Of course, I'm going to do what I need to do to try to maximize you here. But, like, there's only so much that I can do. And this is what I always talk about. I've talked about this last year. I think it might have been right when Caleb got drafted. I don't remember which quarterback we were talking about or how it worked, but we were talking about coaching in general. And I still emphasize this, and we'll bring this up throughout the season, and how coaching, there's so many different approaches to coaching and styles of coaching and different skill sets for coaches. Some coaches are awesome at developing talent, at maximizing the growth of a quarterback. Some coaches are not good at that at all. They're not there to develop anyone. They're there just to maximize the existing talent. Some coaches are great at really elevating the really bad quarterbacks, but like, they can't elevate the great quarterbacks to elite quarterbacks. Some coaches are amazing at making a great quarterback an elite quarterback, or making an elite quarterback, putting that quarterback in a constant position to succeed. Some coaches can do it all. Some coaches genuinely can't. It's all different levels, and you definitely see this in basketball. Sometimes a little bit easier to see in basketball because there's going to be like a little bit less moving parts, but you can see it with various coaches, specifically offensive coaches, when they get like backup quarterbacks, rosters, banged up rosters, whatever it may be. And we saw that a lot last year. We saw how some coaching staff, some coaches were able to continue to win with backup quarterbacks, or win when the receivers went down. And there were other coaches that were kind of like, I only know what to do when I have all my pieces. Shanahan struggled with that tremendously. Bobby Slowick fired OC with CJ Stroud. He struggled with that tremendously. Andy Reid did not. Kellen Moore did with the Philadelphia Eagles. When AJ and Devontae went down, it was like, I'm not exactly sure how to get these other receivers involved. Like, he struggled with it. Once you got AJ and Devontae back, it was like, boom, we can hit the ground running. LaFleur did a great job with that. When Jordan Love went down with Malik Willis, did an awesome job. So like, there's different skill sets here. Shanahan was able to put Jimmy Garoppolo in awesome situations to succeed, but he needed that roster around him. He was not good enough at figuring out, okay, Christian McCaffrey's not here. Debo's kind of in now the lineup. He did not do a good enough job there. So that's what I'm trying to really emphasize, that you can be an amazing coach, you can be an elite coach, you can be a special coach, but it's just like, where does your skill set and your strengths and weaknesses lie? And make no mistake about it, this is what I highlighted when Colin was like, when he kind of showed what Jared Goff was able to do with Ben Johnson. That was already a cake that had been baked with Sean McVay. Like, undeniably. So there was already a huge foundation to work from, to build off of. Ben Johnson is trying to rebuild this quarterback right now. And I don't know if he has that skill set. And this is what I said about Kevin O'Connell. Everyone's like, look what he did with Kirk Cousins. That was a quarterback that has been in the NFL for years. Look what he did with Sam Darnold. That is a quarterback who has been in the NFL for years. These were experienced quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy, rookie, a blank slate. That's completely different. It's a completely different skill set. I cannot emphasize that enough. It is a completely different skill set. And your coaching approach is completely different. So it's just like, that to me is is going to be so fascinating to observe right here. But like, Ben Johnson is I don't want to say he's saying the quiet part out loud right now, but like he's just showing you something. He really is. Like, that, when I heard that, like, I really was like, oh wow. That's, that's where my mind goes. You either spoke a little too strongly and you were just trying to get through the press conference, and you gotta realize that your words have meaning here, and it matters, and you gotta understand as a head coach, like, you gotta be a little bit more careful. Like Colin said, coaches know what they're careful with their words, and they are. Head coaches who have been around once or twice understand that. An offensive coordinator who's now a head coach, he might not. I give him room to make that mistake. But if not, if it's speaking from the heart and it's his assessment of how things are going, it could get weird. And remember what they were saying last year about veterans in the locker room, saying that they wanted Caleb benched for someone else. And they said that's not true. I don't know. Sometimes where there's smoke, there is fire. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams? The fact that we're hearing more of these negatives, I guess, around Caleb and this offense. And again, Ben Johnson straight up saying sloppier than we were hoping at this point. And what do you make of his pretty strong statements about their backup quarterback? TB. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.